Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. You've reached Cruising with a Cause, a webinar hosted by Navionics and Waterway Guide. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how the boating community, can help assist those in need in coastal communities worldwide. I am Jessica Grimm, the host of this webinar. I've been with Navionics as a marine specialist for over 5 years, and I have been boating my entire life. Ed Tillett is the GM and editor-in-chief of Waterway Guide and has been in media for over 40 years and has also been a sailor and fisherman his whole life. Donna Lange has joined us from Cruising with a Cause. She is the driving force behind Cruising with a Cause, and not only is she this driving force, she is a two-time solo circumnavigator. Huge thank you to Donna for joining us today, and Ed for helping co-sponsor and co-host this webinar, and thanks to Navionics as well for hosting this webinar. A couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please do use the questions section of your GoToWebinar control panel. This will allow you to submit questions to me during the webinar. We'll try to reach some questions at the end of the webinar. If we don't get to all of your questions, we will email out answers later if possible. The webinar will be recorded. You'll receive an email later this evening with a link to the recording. And I will take as many questions at the end as possible. And extraordinary times we are living in, definitely. Navionics has put together a series of webinars to help keep our boating community engaged and help continue education for our boating community. Navionics webinar series is focused on helping boaters to stay engaged and help others during their time of quarantine. So we have joined together with Waterway Guide in their mission to promote both safe boating as well. This has led us to some very interesting partnerships, such as this webinar, and Waterway Guide is also providing some very important information for boaters as well to keep us all safe. Ed, I'll hand it off to you.
Thanks, Jessica. Good to be with Navionics again. You know, this is our 5th webinar together, and we've had a lot of great attendees and some great topics, but these are very different times for us these days, and we know what our shared commitment is to safety and education and awareness, and the recent events really have kind of reshaped the way we look at access and opportunities for boating and travel on America's waterways. And to that end, Waterway Guide, in concert with a lot of its partners across the boating industry, including the National Marine Manufacturing Association, Boat US, Marinas.com, Snag a Slip, America's Great Loop Cruising Association, Navionics, Garmin, and others are working to maintain awareness of how different localities and facilities are making their areas accessible. And we created at Waterway Guide a special report called the waterwayguide.com COVID-19 reports. I'm going to go ahead and click on this link. I think it will work in this webinar. Let me see if it pops up. It does indeed. And this page at waterwayguide.com COVID-19, let me back out here and go to the main page. If you're at waterwayguide.com, simply click on this red banner here, and it will tell you essentially what facilities are open around the country that have reported to us. You can filter by state if you wish, starting with A's or the opposite. You can filter by cities. You can filter by marina or service facility, when it was last updated, and notes. Our status is pretty simple. It's either closed, open, or an alert status, and an alert means to pay attention. So in any event, this is what we are doing collectively with all of our partners. And if you're out on the West Coast and you're going up into Alaska or Seattle or the West Coast, Wagoner Cruising Guide has provided marinas, marine parks and borders, and boating in the Northwest information. So good data if you need it, and it's available to you at that particular link. So with that said, in these extraordinary times, why would we be talking about this topic of cruising with a cause? Well, I met Donna Lange at the Annapolis Boat Show last year. She and I got together with Bob Filburn, her partner, and we talked about some great opportunities for the future. And when Jessica, you called We talked about our next webinar for the coming year. We said in these extraordinary times, maybe it's time to focus on something that perhaps we all have a heart for and a soul for, and that would be perhaps assisting others around the country and around the world with Cruising with the Cause. So this is our agenda for the night, everyone. We're going to spend 30 or 40 minutes going through this. It will be available for review afterwards, but this is the agenda. A real simple overview of what Cruising with the Cause is. So take a moment to look at that, and then I'll turn it over to Donna, and we'll begin this evening's webinar. So here's the definition. So Donna, I'm going to turn it over to you, if you would. Define Cruising with the Cause, where this came from, and what your great idea is.
Hi, Ed, and thank you so much, Jessica, Navionics, and Waterway Guide. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. And this is very exciting. In 2007, when I was sailing around the world, I was in New Zealand and met a gentleman who had a like passion that I did for wanting to help folks in island coastal communities. And given we were in the cruising community, it was just the natural way that was going to occur. And when I finished my solo sail around the world, we formed an organization, and I formed it in America, Oceans Watch North America. And our specific focus was the Eastern Atlantic and the Caribbean, and this beautiful migratory, talented and skilled group of cruisers that were moving in the islands felt that they would be wonderful and that they would want to help. And so our goal was to how can we help them to help in island coastal communities, to engage, to help with humanitarian conservation, and with all that's happened, and of course today with hurricanes and such, being able to be part of the recovery process after disasters. So you can go on to vision, I think. So how can we become a worldwide resource? So it came down to, I can be one cruiser that can use my boat, and I have. I've been to Haiti, and I've filled my boat with things, and I've gone and done cholera helps after the earthquakes in Haiti, and I've done other missionary trips. But I can be one cruiser, or I can, with my little boat, because I only have a little 28-foot Southern Cross, or I can empower 1,000 cruisers through Cruising with a Cause. And the whole method has come around understanding the advances in IT information and communications, and how we can create an opportunity to make it easy for people to find information, to give us information. And that is the focus today. Through software mapping, education, and logistics, we really want to be able to support those that are out there to be able to help. All right, so if we want to look at the needs, I don't think too many of us need to look very far to know the needs, even with this COVID that we're going through. And I live in Southeast Florida, so have recently been through the trauma and tragedy of the different hurricanes that have gone through the Caribbean. And truly they have, and the earthquake in Haiti, they truly have ignited this helping desire for folks to help. The problems are, I think most of these communities are third world, developing, and they're extremely vulnerable. And in those communities, you have all communities. You have Sister Flora with her handicapped and incredible children and her orphanages and different needs that are going on. After Dorian, I was able to go on and be in Grand Key within a week, and it was incredible to see the needs that they had. Ruth's gone, and to hear all of their stories. We can go on to the second. So the other part of solving problems is who is best equipped to help. And sailing boats are the most amazing resource. The typical cruising boat today has the ability to be able to generate power, to be able to create fresh water with water makers. They are a complete self-sustained refrigeration, solar and wind power. and they are an incredible resource. Sailors who are sailing, cruising, are skilled people. They are people of all professions, and they are passionate people that want to help. The challenge is for them to be able to prepare to go into the islands with what they need to help before they leave. Because once you're there, you can't necessarily, you can use what tools you have, but to be able to plan and make an actual itinerary and plan to go, it makes it so much more effective. After Dorian, we see in these photos on the bottom right-hand corner is those are the fishing fleets that were on the coast of Florida, absolutely mobilized to take over. When the first week, they were the first ones delivering generators, water, food, unbelievable, propane, barbecues, stoves, anything to help these folks to have water, food, and some kind of provisions. It continued throughout the time. What Cruising with a Cause also was able to help with in solving these problems is we promote those who are helping. So we are about helping the organizations who have needs, and they have discovered needs in island communities to help to promote what they're doing to volunteers and cruisers who would like to be able to help.
Donna, in some of our discussions in Annapolis back so many months ago, we were talking specifically about some of the responses that were going on in the northern Bahamas and how vessels and cruisers were rising to the challenge and attempting to go in and assist and help. And there seemed to be a thread going through that there were a lot of people who wanted to help. There were a lot of people who wanted to reach out because they spend time in these communities in their recreational time on their vessels, fishing, diving, just generally loving life. And then they look up one day and realize that these paradises that they have been in have problems, and they were trying to muster resources and personnel to go and help. And it was, I think, your story about marshaling together stakeholders and others that helped try to formulate the idea, which is where we're going to go to next, which is the mission and some of the others. But is that, did you see that development in the islands and in some other places where people want to help, but they don't really know where to go and how to help? Is that part of this mission?
It very much was. What I chose to do, Ed, during that time was I started to catalog all of the organizations that were working in different areas in the islands, because they were so busy and so focused where they were that they had no real idea what was happening in other places. So the collaborative ability was very limited. And I started putting Excel sheets together and just sending them off to everyone who was willing to be put on the Excel sheet. And I started getting phone calls, of one particular group that needed to have something happen, but they didn't have a pilot. And I was able to be in communication with Eagle's Wings, and they had pilots. And so I sent them, my list of 25, or their list of 25 pilots, and they were within 2 hours. They had a helicopter airlifting somebody out of a area that needed to get to the hospital. So being able to create that kind of collaboration, there was a tremendous challenge to be able to get information, know what people needed, and then to be able to focus even the funding that was on the state side to be able to get the things that were needed and then be able to get them to these places. So yes, it very much spurred me on to find the right solution to create Cruising with a Cause as a very functional IT solution to help with all this communication. And after Irma, it started. And it was really developed after Dorian. After Irma, I met Virtual Badge, and we'll hear about that. We'll hear about John Simeon and Disaster Solutions. And that started the process of developing an IT solution. From there, we started to build a better website. And now we're on to even a bigger and better website solution. And then meeting you, Ed, was just a gift. The idea of being able to promote and to be able to be involved with your software's unbelievable technical expertise in developing this one step farther.
So the mission is defined right now is that you basically have 3 portals, as I see it. You have the coastal community leaders can upload their information in the Cruising with a Cause portal. Cruisers can then assist with identifying what they can do there. The waterwayguide.com website is creating its IT infrastructure to help show where projects are located, and then you've got the credentialing through virtual badge, which helps volunteers really understand what the scope of the project is. So that was the mission that you set out to achieve back then, and it looks like you've met some milestones along the way. And these are them. So explain these milestones quickly, how the portals are in design and how they're advancing.
The first you see there is our website. We are developing a different website that will look a little bit more like your Airbnb concept, which we'll talk a little bit more about. So this is a keyworded website where essentially all the causes can input their own information. They are vetted, and then cruisers can easily look on the map between the Waterway Guide map, and there will be a map associated with the causes that come in through the portal, and then they can very easily be able to say, this is where I'm going to be cruising, these are the islands I'm going to. You can go through and say, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I want to work with children, I want to be in education, I want to do marine conservation, and be able to find those things. The virtual badge is once you gain the virtual badge, you are credentialed. The virtual badge is the feedback loop that is ultimately the communication piece that was lacking in the work in Dorian. Ability to bring it back, and the beauty of us working with these wonderful folks is that they are a first responder work management company. So they are the right people to be getting information to help us to organize it, to be able to feedback. So there are different, in the virtual badge, you can be a cause, you can be a cruiser that is a volunteer, and you can also choose to be a lead yacht. And inside of each one of those types, you have all the different forms and information that you can feedback. And with our other collaborative work with Global Marine Networks, we have now worked it out so that this particular app can be downloaded on your onboard satellite systems with very minimal data use.
Great.
So here we see it a little bit.
Are pretty simple. To your point, we've got the database websites where the communities can upload projects. Cruisers find the projects that they're interested in. It's really a lot of technical here, but the point is that you've built the infrastructure, and then to the point we made a moment ago, Waterway Guide has created a database to help crew see where they are in addition to where the projects might be located. So exciting time. The virtual badge. Yeah, virtual badge was an interesting concept that you introduced, and give us a real quick overview on that.
The virtual badge is a credentialing piece in Irma. It was used by all of SP&L's workforce that was able to do all the restoration of Southeast Florida. So each person has that works for them get the credential, and then they have work management forms, which means that they just feedback information as to what they see with all kinds of different review options. And then you have analyzers that are able to take that information and keep the project moving most efficiently. So it does a simple background check. We can also, because we're moving it through, John has been wonderful to help us to create something that is going to work even better for us. We're going to be able to help you to upload your blogging information, other reviews and updates. We've created an opportunity to do citizens research and all kinds of mammal research, coral reefs, fishing, all sargasso weed stuff, being able to put input about that in the world. And the beauty of being able to upload through the Wi-Fi and satellite systems on board is that it actually can become an emergent information portal when things aren't going well and when a crisis does occur. Anyone that is on their yacht that's in an area can start to feed back information to an organization that knows what to do with it.
All right, so the collaboration at this point with the project with Cruising with a Cause really has three big partners. It has the company, Cruising with a Cause, then you are using between Virtual Badge, Global Marine Networks, Waterway Guide, all three coming together to provide interaction, integration, and interfacing among all the different platforms to get users, recipients, and stakeholders involved. When do you anticipate that this will be up and fully active, or could I sign up for a project right now?
You can sign up for a project right now. We have a limited number of projects that are all set in place because we've been working on the nuts and bolts of it to a great extent. And over the next year, that's going to be the primary thing when we have people that are out there. As you say, we are all in a little bit of a holding pattern. We do have projects that are in the Caribbean, in the Bahamas at this time. We do have some projects. But you certainly can get in touch. There is we are looking for yachts that are out there. The feedback information to give us causes and bring us information is absolutely necessary. So we're really looking for folks to get involved at this point, get the badge and start uploading information, get involved with citizens research if they're interested, and then to become a part of our soul and our spirit. I mean, the beauty and our goal is for Sister Flora's Orphanage to have folks coming there that are OTs, occupational therapists, physical therapists, nurses, people to be able to help in places where they're really needed. There are areas in the British Virgin Islands where kids are still going to school in garages because the schools haven't been rebuilt, and we're going to see that throughout the Abacos and areas in the Bahamas. And as we say, our world is pretty vulnerable here in Southeast Florida. I'm in this part of the world, and we'll see. And all up the waterway, one thing we have seen so dramatically is the impact of all of the weather and situations that have been occurring on all of the waterway, the intercoastal waterway through Southport, all of South Carolina, North Carolina. So this is not just a Caribbean. This is a homegrown intercoastal waterway goal to help cruisers that are using the waterways that are in the Caribbean, that are in the Bahamas, to be able to find ways that they can use their skills to help.
Can I ask you a question quickly, Donna?
Sure.
You touched on scientific research and environmental efforts in addition to humanitarian efforts. How does Cruising with a Cause address some of the environmental? You mentioned sargasso weed, grass, conditions in the ocean. Are there programs in place for that, or will be programs in place for that effort as well, for those who want to pursue that level of causes?
Very much so, Ed. I would suggest that there is no limit to the causes and the benefit that Cruising with a Cause can help with, that we can be promoting, that we can help to develop projects as they're going along. We are a portal for people to communicate, develop projects, and when somebody comes with a project, that is something that gets to be brought out to the Cruising with a Cause community to develop that project and to keep perpetual efforts going on to help in island coastal communities. So absolutely, there are no limits, and through Oceans Watch, we did have a coral reef check training, and that is something you can get through any dive shop. We do have coral reef check research, and that's all to be developed. There is no limit to the benefits that we can accomplish.
So this is your summary slide. This is your call to action for those who are attending the webinar. So let's talk these 4 points and let us know how we can get involved and what we can do. We know we're in a kind of a holding pattern in the world right now, but we all anticipate, those of us who are optimists, that it won't be forever, and it will be time for us to reshape our thinking on what we can do. So give me these 4 points.
Go. I think one of the most important things to understand the value of the cruising community, our skills, and the resources to help in island coastal communities. That's the most important. And that right now, it actually in this holding pattern, and where we have maybe a little more energy, and to help us to build that database of causes, to get in touch with folks where you have cruised before, who you know have needs, and help us to build this database so that we have those causes coming in, get the virtual badge, even and on the website as well, being able to download causes. The forms are very thorough in being able to introduce a project, being able to send pictures, contacts, what the needs are, and what skills you need. And that we can be doing now. So to all of you who have been out there, are out there. Many are on their yachts and are connected to Wi-Fi, but are in a harbor and can't leave for a little while. If that's true, all the information that you can pass on to us of causes and things that are needed is just ultimately so valuable. So, because we're here to inform, to be that portal of connection. That's why this wonderful feedback loop with the virtual badge is so important. So planning, I think what I have found in talking, because I've been talking about my sales around the world, and I do talks all the time. And the thing I hear the most is that, once I get there, I don't have what I need, and I don't know anybody who's there. Being able to cruise with a cause is so much more effective when we plan ahead and actually can look and find the kind of cause that we would like to be involved with, and then be able to be prepared when we go, so that we can really be effective at helping. And I love this cruising with a cause. It's where smiles greet you and the sense of satisfaction follows in your wake, because you no longer go to an island, whether you're going the first time or going the 7th time. You don't go there without knowing somebody. Somebody knows you're coming. They know you're coming to help, and they're happy to see you. And you no longer are just a tourist. You go to an island as part of the community, and the incredible value to being able to have that experience is my life. My life sailing around the world a couple times. I'm a musician, and I've had the most incredible opportunity to be a part of the communities where I'd sailed, and to be able to help them in the ways that I can. And that is it's been a gift to me, and it's a gift that I would like to share with you.
Well, we are a special community, boaters, and we have much to offer, as you know, and that's been the message from the beginning. So thanks for that insight. Jessica, real quick, do you have any questions through the webinar portal that could be answered before we move on to some resources and conclude our webinar? We have a couple more interesting points to make, but do you have any questions from any attendees?
Yep, I'd say that the one question we need to answer is, how can people get started right now and throughout the world? We do have a lot of people attending that are in the far reaches of all over the world. How can all those different locations get started? How can they submit their causes to your organization?
Okay, the simplest way is, if they are connected to Wi-Fi, is to be able to download the virtual badge. They can download that, and there are forms inside of that will immediately let them be able to input information about causes where they are. They can register as a cruiser with their skills and such, they can do that right now. And then there is information. We are in a process of moving forward, and so all of this information we'll all be processing it. Emails will be returned, and so it is active. As much as we're creating an IT solution, I don't want to suggest any way, shape, or form that it's not a very human, wonderful experience of camaraderie. It is, and we will be interacting also in those ways to keep it personal.
But this is a startup. For everyone who is attending, bear in mind that this action and activity is only as good as the work that we collectively do with it, whether it's the development of virtual badge, the development of the Waterway guide, data management, the website, and someone who is on the far reaches of the world right now who has a sense of a need that can be accomplished. Start with virtual badge. Start with communicating with Donna. Start with letting folks know that you are to make a difference. And I assure you that based on the work that I've done with Donna, we'll find a way to put your heart in your hands to work on this.
The website cruisingwithacause.com also has all of the forms are there as well. So if one is the forms are there, but that website is shortly. We're really looking to get that website so that it becomes the real Airbnb website for Cruising with a Cause. And when we get to that point, then it will become much more automated. At this point, we will all work together to make sure that needs are met. So I thank you very much.
And Donna, one more point. To verify, a local boater, if you live in South Florida and you want to help people in South Florida because your cruising grounds are South Florida, we can also use the same resources and the same steps to start helping others. Correct?
Absolutely. 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 That is, and things are going to open up. And when things open up, then it will be, I have a lot of links with all the folks in the Bahamas, in the Abaco Islands, and there are needs there. So once we get moving, we'll be able to connect people with those needs.
Any other questions, Jessica?
There's I would suggest too, there along the waterway, there are lots of resources of sailors and cruisers for all of those other needs. Cruising with a Cause, we talk about the causes, but there are wonderful other resources that you'll find through the Waterway Guide and different local clubs. Seven Seas Cruising Association has cruising hosts all up and down the waterway, and we do work closely with them as well. They're my home club.
Great. Thank you, Donna. No other questions right now.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Wonderful.
Okay. I would like to say for anyone who remains that if you have access to the internet, which you do because you're attending this webinar, I would encourage you to go do a little research on donnalange.com, the YouTube channel. There's another side of Donna that has captivated me. I think I told Jessica that I am smitten by her singing and her music. And when you put all the rest of it aside, circumnavigation solo around the planet twice, around the Capes, and all the work as a nurse and a grandmother and a mother, and the soul that she has for this, she also has a voice that will enchant you forever. So I encourage you to go listen to her music.
Thank you. That was very sweet.
It's absolutely so beautiful, and I hope one of these days I get a chance to play along with one of my guitars with you, Donna. But that's it.
Oh,
so
I'm sure we're going to make that happen.
I hope we do. Jessica, once again, it's been so great for you and Navionics to host this, and thanks for giving me
thank
Waterway
you so
Guide
much.
and our team the opportunity to participate. And I'll turn it back over to you, Jessica, for closing. And Donna, thanks so much for putting up with all of us and bringing your story to us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jessica, so much, and Navionics and Waterway Guide.
Wonderful. Great show, guys. It was absolutely amazing what you are doing, Donna. And I think everyone here is very appreciative that you're putting this together. I think that I've seen a lot of excitement to help with this cause. So I'm really excited to see what comes of this. I know this is something that my husband and I have really looked forward to being a part of as well, with our son as we go cruising with him as he grows up. So very, very excited to be a part of this. Thank you so much to Waterway Guide and to Navionics for hosting this as well. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to email me. You can respond to the follow-up email that will be coming about an hour from now. It will also include a link to the recording. And also check out the remaining webinar series that Navionics is hosting that can help keep you involved in the boating community during these times of quarantine. Navionics also hosts webinars throughout the year, quarantine or not, to help us all stay connected. Thank you all so much again, and we very much appreciate your involvement in this effort.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.